Thursday, July 13th, 2017.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have 2 minutes to approve.
It hasn't.
Has it went? Okay.
Yeah.
So dispense with the reading of the minutes? Yes.
Yeah.
Mr. Daniels?
Okay, I think, there's been no request made yet, but I think you're aware, that our sheriff was in a little accident. His vehicle was totaled. We go down the path of replacing it, minus the insurance proceeds. We expect to see it's probably about $28,000 we're gonna need to do that.
I thought he said there was another used one he could take.
And
Or no?
he could, and he can, and he already has, but that leaves us with, I think, maybe only one spare, what we call a station car, instead of they usually have 2 of them. So when another car is down, they can always grab that.
Mhm.
So it kind of is leaving that kind of tight.
So what's the sheriff recommending?
I think he would like to see us get going on replacing it,
On a new car?
yeah.
Should have bought that one insurance that's on TV that gives you a full replacement. What am I supposed to do, drive 3/4 of a car?
Yeah. Well, it wasn't our fault, it's, it's not through our insurance.
Do we,
We would have to find the funding either.
He has money in his carpool that he didn't spend, didn't he?
I don't think so.
Thought we didn't buy one of them.
No,
An SUV maybe?
no, I don't think so.
We bought everything?
I think we bought everything. I mean, I'll double check, see where we're staying, but pretty much you got 3 choices, either a supplemental appropriation to this general fund, take it out of the sunset sales tax, or take it out of our capital improvements fund. Those are pretty much your choices.
What's
Pete,
in
how
capital
much,
improvements?
how much money do we have left? We carried over almost $1 million from last year.
I'd have to check on that, Bill,
Yeah,
but
can't we use that?
we could, because we did buy 1 or 2 cars out of that,
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that.
all right?
Capital.
How much money do we have left in that account?
I have to take a look, Bill, but it's still a fairly significant amount.
Close to $1 million?
Probably something under that. Probably in the $900,000 range, something like that.
Yeah, so we can,
We could.
yeah. And we ought to think about maybe some cars on this future budget, just like we did with those Crown Vic. If there's something available, I don't know, there may be some deals available.
Yeah, I told Matt, I said, because he said he thinks the build-out cutoff is, we're probably past that. And I said, well, check around, maybe somebody canceled an order. So maybe there's one sitting out there.
Yeah, that's probably not a bad idea, because we saved a lot of money when we bought those Crown Vics.
Pete, is there a claim being made against somebody else's insurance?
Yeah,
Then
the other
you should be
drivers.
getting full value. They don't have a right to any offset or depreciation
Really?
on the that's a liability claim if it's against somebody else.
That is true, now that you think about it,
Yes,
because.
a
of the-
collision claim takes into, that's our insurance, and that takes into account, market value, maybe, and depreciation, and deductibles, and that stuff. If we're making a liability claim on somebody else, we at least need to look at that, I think.
Yeah,
We may have the
because
possibility of making a claim.
potential injury. That's why they buy the new one, as a settlement.
Could be, but yeah, on a property damage claim against them, I'm not sure. Now, sometimes there's what's called intercompany arbitration agreements between 2 insurance companies, but I'm not sure, this is Corsa for us?
Yeah, this is course of that
I'm
one.
not sure Corsa is subject to intercompany arbitration, because they're not really an insurance company.
Right.
So we might not be stuck with that. We may have a full, I think we ought to at least look at it before we settle with them.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think he's
I
right.
will, I'll give
Because
it-
you have potential claim.
Yeah.
For the
we could
accident.
sue them for our full damages, I would.
Yeah, think of it, even if it was, there would still be some shortage, but we can shrink that.
There's
Because
no
you-
reason they should have the advantage of depreciation or any of that stuff. If we're out of pocket X dollars,
Yeah,
we
well,
might be able to put them on. the
out of
hook.
pocket for a Crown Vic versus what we pay now for a vehicle, there's
Well,
still a bit
well,
of a
but they
we'd
still
be
have to
entitled
get
to the
you-
market, to the full market value of that vehicle.
Mhm,
Now, is that the same as a new vehicle? You know, it's not gonna be,
right.
but I don't know what he was driving, what it's worth, but we shouldn't
Probably
be
not much.
I can't think we're taking a $25,000 hit, I wouldn't think. I mean, was he driving, how old was it?
It was old.
Oh,
Fairly old,
100,000
probably,
miles on it.
probably close to 200,000 miles on it. Probably like a, probably 2008 or 2009 Crown Vic.
well, I guess maybe that is the market value they're paying.
But I think he's got a point, though, because they will pay more because of potential injury to settle the case.
Mhm.
Theoretically,
Theoretically, yeah.
but that's not that's personal to the sheriff.
True.
Personal injury is not a
Yeah.
county.
No, but that's why they sometimes pay more,
Yeah,
just to get it off their books.
right, but they'd have to pay that to him.
Oh.
Is Dave handling that?
Huh?
Dave Miller doing that?
Probably between Dave and Matt Cross, so I'll get with those guys. and-
Yeah, we should at least take a look at it before we sign off.
I will
on
do
it.
that.
Make sure we're not getting
Okay.
low.
We just got a check from Ohio Bureau of Workers' Compensation. This is part of their, they call it the Third Billion Back program. I think it's a billion at a time. This is the third one. Essentially, we got 2/3 of our 2015 policy or premium, which is almost $275,000.
Wow.
So what I told our staff is that we should use that as a kind of a credit against our next premium payment, which will be due at the end of this year.
Good idea.
Then we can, not have to charge the departments back their full value of the next premium. We can offset it with this.
Technically, isn't that general fund money?
No,
It's paid for out of the general fund,
partially,
mostly.
probably 40% maybe,
Oh, I would've thought it's higher.
because no.
'Cause
all
it's
the-
charged
all-
back.
All the other departments. You take the nursing home, JFS, the engineers, DD.
Yeah.
Health department, yeah. So, anyway.
Still good.
Still good, you bet. I talked to Bob McDowell over at the fair. We're going to do some horse trading on our local government building for space in the commercial building. So we can basically have a booth set up there set up racks for pamphlets and all that kind of information, stuff that we used to have in that building. And if, again, anybody wants to use that space for, like, say, JFS for Kids Day, or the nursing home for Seniors Day, and I know the auditors used it, has gone out there at times. They can man essentially that booth if they want.
So we're not gonna use that building?
We're not gonna use that building anymore, no.
That was a waste.
Yeah. Also got some good news on some money that, I understand our adult probation division of the common police court there's gonna be some new money the state is, dangling out there for this targeted community alternatives prison program. I guess all counties are eligible. I think they've guaranteed it to the 10 largest. But our 2-year share, if we go after it, which I understand we are, is $552,000 over 2 years.
Is this the F5 diversion?
No, I think this is, well, yeah, I think that's exactly what this is.
So, and that's so much a day per prisoner, right?
I think that is part of it.
$33, I think
Something
is what
like
we were
that.
negotiating with them. Yeah, I went to
Something.
Columbus and met with Director Moore on that, but I thought that died.
No. No, as a matter of fact, Ohio Department of Rehab and Corrections intend to release a formal solicitation on or about July 17th.
Well,
And they've got the list of all 88 counties and their dollar amounts.
So we have to say yes or no.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think that's not that easy, yes or no. Because as you know, it's $65 a day for us to house a person, and at the time, they were giving us $33 a day. But the idea is that those folks would be into rehab, and as a local, as a community, we're better able to deal with a low felony guy than putting him in the big house where he learns bad habits. So I was supportive of it. But I think we need to sit down and have a discussion with our judges. Because I know I talked to all the judges, actually, and there's some controversy on F5 versus F4.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we'll just make them all F4s, so there are no F5s. So I think we better look into the rules a little closer, because it's definitely not free money, because this is more people coming in, and one of the things that we were concerned about is, well, that's a great story today, but what happens if next year the money's not there? And now we've converted all these folks back into our jail as an F5. Not good.
Well, we've got a elected officials meeting coming up, and all the judges hopefully would be there
Mm-hmm.
sometime in September. Maybe that's a good idea to bring that up at that
Well,
time.
when do you
and
need to
see
know
what
on
happens.
this?
Oh, I don't need to know anything. I mean, I'm just letting you guys know, and that's my understanding that that division of the court is applying for this monies.
Which division?
Judge Bennett's,
So he must be on board with it.
he must be. Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Well, Judge
Do you have the
Bennett has done a
details?
great job as far as getting money
I,
for it.
this came from Ohio Department of Corrections.
I'll reach out to Roger and see what he thinks.
Pete, does that have anything to do with the money that Judge Bennett is now getting out of for the?
I believe this is
This is new.
but I'm wondering if there isn't, this may be replacing one of the other programs. I don't know
Well,
that.
that's what I was gonna think, is it
I don't know that for sure.
getting one and we're losing another?
I can talk to somebody down there, they'll probably have a good idea. Just so you know that our chief of probation is retiring, there's a budget request up there to essentially provide additional funds for,
Bring somebody on board.
bring
early.
somebody on board
Yeah.
for the transition phase, if you will,
That makes sense.
so.
Most
It's
places
up
do
there.
that.
I got a email from Larry Fletcher from Shores and Islands. They want to know where we stand on their proposal regarding funding for sports tourism.
Let's wait for Matt to get back and we'll
Yeah,
talk about that.
that's what I told them.
Well, with having two large sports facilities now in the county, you know, not
Soon
now,
to
but
be,
it-
soon to be.
Another sports facility that will probably be coming, that only makes sense to
Mhm.
start advertising for that.
Okay. Just so you also, you know, that a week before the 4th of July, that I guess the village of Milan had a problem with their water supply. We began supplying their water. We're still doing that, so it's going on about their third week. I'm not aware of any agreement that we have, so we're gonna have to figure out what we're gonna charge them. Or if we do it all, but I would think that we would.
Do we know the volume? Is it metered?
Yeah, it's being metered. It's probably between 200 and 250,000 gallons a day.
Well, you have numbers with Northern Ohio, you
Bellevue.
have numbers Bellevue, you have numbers Vermillion. I don't know exactly what those numbers are, but
We actually buy from Vermillion, but we have supplied water to them in emergency, similar to this situation before, yeah.
why don't we look up what those numbers are? How much?
I already actually did. I asked them, we even thought it was gonna be 3 or 4 days. I gave them, here's an amount for 3, 4 days. Give me what it would cost at each one of those 3 different options. So I do have that as kind of an idea of where this could be headed. So, just want to make you guys aware. That's all I got.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Thank you for having us. Our HR team is here. We're always welcome the opportunity to tell you a little bit about what's happening in HR. We're going to present our semi-annual report today, hopefully very briefly for you all. We've accomplished a lot during these last 6 months and faced some challenges, but despite them, we've made steady progress in several different areas. At the request of several departments and elected officials, assistance has been provided in reviewing and updating job descriptions, and we do that through our point factor analysis system. And that helps us then align those positions on our pay grade and wage ranges within the county. Paula's been very good. We've done it several times at this point now, adding all the jobs under the county, so that's very helpful to the elected officials, the clerk of court, soil and water, veteran services, DOES, the Meadows. They've all participated in that process, to name a few. In the area of enhancing labor relations, we have made great headway in the series of initiatives designed to foster increased communication and positive relations between management and the union, beginning with the utilization of the local federal mediation and conciliation services commissioner for the purposes of education, training, and meeting facilitation, specifically at DJSF. As a result of that, there were 0 grievances filed between the period January through mid-June. In keeping with our initiative of cross-training and knowledge transfer within the department, Matt Wilson, who is currently pursuing his certification in labor relations, served as chief spokesperson for the DJF's negotiations this year. He did a fine job meeting our initiative to effectively and ethically represent the county as the employer, if you will, in employer-employee relations to achieve successful and fair outcomes. He will tell you a little bit more about his experience negotiating his very first union contract under his report. Our initiative to optimize our ability to work closely and collaboratively with other departments, elected officials, and employees as we try to exceed service expectations. With the new county website on the horizon, one initiative in this area is to create an easily navigable and searchable online HR resource of policies, procedures, information, forms, frequently asked questions. The HR website design will be led by Paula Ward, so we're looking forward to that. Our initiative to achieve department efficiency and streamlining continues through responsible delegation and training of our HR department professionals. Both Amy and Paula have taken on considerable roles and duties in the areas of benefits administration and loss control, and are being successfully mentored by Matt and David, respectively. As mentioned above, Matt continues his development in the area of labor relations under my direction and through pursuing ongoing educational and professional development opportunities through OPELRA, the Ohio Public Employee Relations Association. We do appreciate the support for ongoing training and development in the ever-changing role of HR. We look forward to the opportunity to attend the annual state, I forgot to bring the brochure, conference at Kalahari this year. That's an opportunity for us to gain, first of all, continuing education credits, and it's 2.5 days of intense training where there's like 35 sessions offered there. And it's right here in our own backyard, so it's really something that we look forward to attending. Matt and I both serve as committee volunteers for that. So we're glad to get out there and be part of the state HR conference, the annual conference. HR department members continue to set the standards in the field of human resources for Erie County and the community. We're frequently invited to chair events or serve as officers. Several of our members are presidents of different associations, serve as keynote speakers, present trainings, and even be invited to the State of the State and the State of the Schools events. It's a pleasure to represent Erie County, all of you, and to spread the good news of the county, and we appreciate that opportunity to do so. Our initiative to improve employee well-being by providing quality, cost-effective health, wellness, retirement, and other benefits is ongoing. Benefit information programs are always in the works and are developed and offered to educate employees on benefit options, and the focus this 6 months has been on the high-deductible health care plan, the HSA as we all know it. We continue to do that and respond to the needs of our employees in that area. We continue to explore other voluntary benefits to enhance our overall desirability of the county's benefit plan. That, of course, helps with retention, so we'd like to keep on top of that. To that end, a health and wellness benefit fair is offered on an annual basis. An information technology online system is in its 3rd year of use. That seems to be going well. We have an online wellness portal that was developed and implemented this year by Amy. We have over 200 employees participating in that now, and a data analysis has been completed, and Amy will share that under her report for us. We continually work on our initiative to provide high-quality, cost-effective training to the county's workforce through course and other partners to improve performance, productivity, and to enhance professional development. To that end, several training opportunities have been offered during these 6 months with an added emphasis on cybersecurity. That's a focus these 6 months. David will share with you the training needs prioritized and offered this year under his report, along with the county statistics as relates to loss control, safety, workplace safety, and injuries. Our recruitment process focuses on recruiting, hiring, retaining motivated and talented workforce. And here in the county, it's HR's initiative to recruit high-quality candidates in a fair and open process. To that end, we hope at the new website, we'll be able to offer an online submission of applications. Right now, applicants are able to access the jobs, access the job posting, access the application, but they have to download it and then complete it and then email or fax it to us or drop it off. So we're hoping an online system will streamline that a little bit. An initiative that has been implemented for some time now that Paula handles is the pre-qualification process, and that's when we have jobs where we have lots of applicants. Paula goes through and does a pre-qualification checklist, so we can send that along with all the applications to the hiring supervisor to help them streamline the interview process, if you will. We also use our exit interview surveys for the purposes of retention. We send those out, we compile them, and then we look for trends that might be happening as to why people might be leaving the county, and Paula will fill us in a little bit on that. Along with our accomplishments, we also face some challenges with the new president and new laws regarding ACA and FLSA and the overtime. There's challenges keeping up with all that to make sure that we're in compliance. HR demonstrated great flexibility and resourcefulness during this whole period of change. We continue to work closely with legal counsel, with our benefits broker, and with the finance and the auditor's office to ensure the county is in complete compliance with whatever comes our way. With that being said, we'll drill down a little bit in some specific areas as reported by the HR team, and we'll kick it off with Paula, then Amy, then David, and Matt will round out our report.
Good morning, everybody.
Right.
Can I start by saying that I work with the best team in the county? We are truly a team that helps each other every time it is needed, such as new employee orientation, safety trainings, lunch and learns, where we all jump in and help. There have been 26 jobs posted with 342 applicants applying so far this year, compared to 39 jobs last year with 626 applicants applying. Background check information, there's been approximately 50 local sheriff checks, 90 motor vehicle registration checks, and 50 national web checks, and around 50 physical and drug screens conducted this year. A lot of our background checks are for the Meadows, the JJC, and also the health department. We have a lot of MVRs from the health department, which is why that number is significantly higher. New employer orientation, my responsibility for orientation was to present on civility training and cybersecurity. Civility training is one of the new HR hot topics. So my presentation was a simple reminder that we all work together every day, spend more time with each other than most of our families, and to have some compassion for your coworkers. I also generated a cybersecurity PowerPoint that complies with our Corsa Safety Initiative, in which we could conduct a quiz on a group basis instead of trying to reach everybody individually. Somewhat of while you have them in the seats, get it over with real quick while we had their attention. So we knocked out some people on that one. In an effort to determine why employees are leaving the county, a voluntary exit interview opportunity is offered in person or by mail. Results are then compiled into a report to be used as a retention tool for hiring supervisors. The first 6 months, one employee requested a face-to-face exit interview, while 27 others were conducted by mail. Exit interview forms from 5 former employees were returned with no forwarding address. Of the remaining 3 sent a response. 2 included positive remarks about the staff being nice and helpful, but not liking the union and low employee morale. One response letter was totally refreshing and reflected an overall positive employment relationship with the county. A face-to-face exit interview, while overall positive, revealed an ongoing internal conflict with a coworker. I also participated in the annual JFS job fair, which was held at Lyman Harbor this year. Attendance was low, and after looking at the data, JFS held a meeting hoping to get some input on how to make this a better event, or if they should just move to a virtual job fair. Some of my highlights for the year so far is did junior achievement with 5th graders at Meadow Lawn. That was very interesting. I haven't been around 5th graders for quite a while. David and I attended the Ohio Safety Congress and Expo put on by the BWC in Columbus. I am an associate member of the County Loss Control Coordinators Association, so I've been going to those meetings. I've also been going to the Sandusky Area Safety Council meetings, and I have attended a BWC seminar for safety for the non-safety professional, which was very informative to me since I'm new and fresh, and a lot of people in this area start out new and fresh, so it was nice to meet some other people in the same kind of place I am in that area. I would like to say thank you for all the opportunities that I get to take advantage of to learn about the safety world and BWC. I didn't know it would be as interesting as I thought it is. I'm really catching on to be, as they call it in the safety world, a safety nerd. So it's been fun. And thank you again for all the opportunities, and I hope we have a great second half of the year.
Hello. There were 231 employees that participated and completed the individual health assessment to be eligible for the 2018 Pillars of Health program. IHAs were to be completed between January 1st and June 30th of 2017 to be eligible for the program. We are currently working with our broker to attach a monetary value to each of the pillars to then lower the PPO deductibles, or for those on the HSA plan, a contribution to their account. In 2017, I was pleased to be invited to join the Erie County Chooses Healthy Living Leadership Committee. The committee was established and is facilitated by the health department, and the members include employees from businesses and nonprofits, which include Firelands Regional Medical Center and United Way and many others. I gladly accepted the opportunity to be on the steering committee to not only help design the community health improvement plan, but to roll it out on April 26th at the BGSU Firelands campus. The committee was pleased to see 75 community leaders and members in attendance. The committee asked me to be a keynote speaker and to share with all of those in attendance Erie County's Pillars of Health program and what employers can do to build a healthier and stronger community. Our Health and Wellness Fair is set for Thursday, October 26th at the Erie County Fairgrounds. This annual fair always provides free flu shots, vendor meet and greets, and food and fun for all Erie County employees, spouses, and dependents. The fair also marks the end of the online open enrollment process for benefit elections for the coming year. As chair of the WIP committee, a subcommittee of cost containment, I can attest to the committee that the committee has been very busy this year. In the first 6 months, the committee most recently announced that as a replacement to our annual Jailbreak 5K, the WIP committee is working on a Get Fit for Charity month, where we will be hopefully contacting local instructors for the month of October to host classes, and all proceeds will be benefited to the United Way Erie County, the health program. On the benefits front, our secure online enrollment system became even more efficient with the inputting of Social Security numbers for all employees, spouses, and dependents. This project took considerable time and involved reviewing paper records as well as contacting directly any employees whose information was not provided. That data, along with any other missing data, was then uploaded into our online system. The online enrollment system is also utilized for the purposes of ACA reporting. Having all this data available during the enrollment process significantly improves the enrollment process, as employees will not have to enter the information in the system. For the purposes of efficiency and communication, HR established and facilitates a joint monthly meeting with the staff with our staff, Matt Wilson and myself, the finance staff, and also those at the auditor's office. The meetings are very productive, and any questions or issues regarding benefits, payroll deductions, leave time accruals, employee status changes are reviewed and discussed and resolved quickly at this time. Matt was out of the office this spring for 4 weeks with the birth of his twin baby girls. So I was given the opportunity to learn and to grow by taking on many of his benefit administration roles while he was gone. So I hope that that helped him in his transition back, that he didn't have a stack of things on his desk to finish. So I was happy to be able to do that for the HR team. And I look forward to coming to work every day to work with everybody here at the county. I really appreciate all the opportunities that you guys have provided me to grow professionally. Thank you.
I have a question. Individual health assessments.
Yes.
Is that a requirement that all county employees take one of those?
It's not a requirement, it is optional. At this point, we are actually unable by law to make it a requirement. We can do different things to maybe promote people to get it, like maybe offering like a higher, you pay a higher premium unless you get your IHA, and then we can lower it, things like that. But at this time, you're not able to, by law, to make it a mandatory thing. But we try to encourage as many people as we can to
Do you
do
know
it.
what the percentage of county employees that take that?
Last year, we had about 230 employees do their assessment.
Good amount then. If
Yeah.
they're not required to and you had 230, that's a pretty good amount to.
Yeah, and we always are looking on ways to get more people to take it. So
Great.
Yeah, it's part of the pillars of health, right?
yeah, it's part of the pillars of health. So they have to get it to get money off of their deductible. Last year, each part was worth $50, so people could get up to $250 off their deductible based on if they pass those five pillars.
When is this health fair?
October 26th. Yeah, actually, that was my next thing on my.
Gonna have it,
Mm-hmm.
what, at the fairgrounds?
Yeah, it'll be
That
at the
was great. That was a
fairgrounds.
Great place. That was a good idea, moving it over there. It's close.
Yeah, it'll be at the fairgrounds again this year. The little handout that I gave you guys, there were 198 employees that completed the work-life health and balance health assessment that was included on our online portal system on the FITHM. And so you'll see the results listed there. We hope to see a positive change in these results going forward. So each year we will be able to take a look and hopefully we will move more people from those low risk categories, or from the high risk categories to the low risk.
Great. Thank you.
How many people go to that health fair?
Last year we had about 400 people in attendance, which is the employees, spouses, and dependents. In the past, when we did our open enrollment, now that open enrollment is online, it has lowered our numbers. Before, when they had to go there to do their online enrollment, we would have almost 600 in attendance.
Good. All right, next.
And I should add that our health fair is mostly sponsored by our benefits administrators, like our Medical Mutual, Guardian Dental, or not Guardian Dental anymore, Superior Dental. They all give us money to implement the health fair. So.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Morning, David.
My job, I sort of see it in 3 different areas. So I'll hit some highlights from safety, workers' comp, and insurance. In the safety arena, we've done our normal audits and inspections, the DOES safety meetings. This year, Corsa led an inspection of the county office building downtown. The comment was that it was really very well maintained, and kudos to the maintenance and custodial staffs on that. For training, we've done ALICE training this spring for this campus, that active killer training. I think active shooter is no longer in vogue, what with everybody taking to cars and using knives and trying to mow people down. It's active killer training now. We've had defensive driving both for new employees and for people that have a number of MVR points. We also this year had special defensive driving training for CDL drivers. That was just last week, conducted by Corsa. And we've, with the assistance of Perkins and Huron fire departments, had AED CPR training both on this campus and at the Huron Basin. In the workers' comp arena, so far, or in the first 6 months of the year, we had 14 different claims, 7 of which resolved in lawsuits, with a total of 16 missed days, which for a county our size is really pretty good. It's got a fair number of incidents, but a pretty low level of severity, so I'm really pretty happy with those numbers. As a result, we are going to have a small refund for our first year in the CCAO group retro program. We joined that in 15, and so this spring they had the first assessment of our 15 experience. The first of these 3 assessments, we got a small refund. The group had a couple of large claims with some traffic fatalities, but as those claims are settled out, we're expecting a higher rate of refund for 15 in the subsequent assessments. And then I had been expecting to receive a check for our share of the next $1 billion back. That check came in just yesterday, $274,855, which is a nice boost for our workers' comp fund. And in the insurance world, we've had some property claims in the first 6 months. We lost a sheriff's cruiser, probably in the neighborhood of $7,500, haven't received final settlement. The sprinkler pipe in this building we're all aware of, in the range of $25,000 less our deductible.
What was the deductible, David?
$2,500.
And the sheriff's cruiser we talked about before you got in here, and Gary thinks that there may be some opportunity there.
I have to look at it. I mean, do we think that that was a third-party claim against another company?
Yes.
And I guess I can talk to you about the details of that, on whether we think that was they took full depreciation, and fair market value, and all that kind of stuff.
The tricky part of that one is all the specialty equipment that's in a sheriff's cruiser, you know, all the sophisticated electronics and stuff that are not in a normal car. So I've been talking with Matt Cross, who's taken point on that, and as of yesterday, didn't have a final number. I haven't heard a number yet. But he estimated $7,500 is what we get for that.
For the car, but it's because that was a Crown Vic. Wouldn't we be eligible to get money because we can't get those anymore? Now you have to buy a new cage, you have to buy a new this.
Generally, they're going to be liable for the market value.
Well, I understand, but I still, in the end, I got to buy a car now that the cage in the Crown Vic doesn't fit. So I have to go out and buy, like he's saying, specialty equipment for a car that's not there. They should pay us for that. It's not our fault that they ruined our Crown Vic.
We can look at that. I mean, yeah, we'll look at it. And there's also, they don't get to take advantage of like it's any old Crown Vic. I mean, you take your victim as you find them. They ruined a car with a bunch of equipment in it. If that equipment's not transferable and so forth, there's maybe a little bit of, you might be able to jerk them around a little bit.
I think it's $3,000 or $4,000 for the cage, and the light bar doesn't fit anymore, wasn't it? I think that, remember we had that number, how much it cost to retrofit.
Typically, there's no rush, so maybe we can massage that a little bit, or make our points that they didn't just run into any vehicle. This is a specialty vehicle, and maybe the value's more than, I don't know how much of that they've already taken into consideration, but see what we can do.
I was doing pretty good in getting through mine on time, you guys, just so you know. And the other property claim
Not
that-
really, you only had 15 minutes, and you're now 25 minutes into your presentation.
And the sewer lift station in Huron East was the other substantial claim this spring. But all total, we're somewhere in the neighborhood of 50,000 in property claims, which is not a bad loss ratio compared to what our premium would equate to for that period of time. Of greater concern might be our liability risk, and some of those liability things haven't been settled out yet, so there's a big reserve set for those claims until they are ultimately settled out. But to mitigate liability risk, we've had training provided through Corsa by Official Haas to educate department heads and elected officials in human resource related matters like discipline and terminations to help mitigate the risk of those kinds of claims. And then cybersecurity is the big emphasis this year. It's been the #1 thing that has caused heartburn to Corsa. I'm going to give each of you a handout that describes how you can go online and take the cybersecurity course through Corsa University. I need one here at Matt's place. I've been assigned the goal of getting 85% of everybody in the county to either take this online course, or in the case of Job and Family Services, since they have state computers, they have a course that they take through their program. Paula described her course that we've offered at New Employee Orientation that will be helpful for people who don't have regular computer access, who don't have a login to email or can't get to the internet, but still we want those people to be aware of this cyber risk. And we're working with the Department of Developmental Disabilities. They will also present a program based on what Paula developed, which again was based on this Corsa University course. So it's my goal to get everybody aware of what the cyber threat is and just an elemental understanding of what our risk is, because this has been the big area of claims for Corsa this year, so that's our major emphasis. Oh yes, when you take that, at the end, you'll get the opportunity to print your certificate of completion. I would love to have a copy of that so I can verify that for my friends down at Corsa that I made my objective of 85%. Any questions? Thank you.
Good morning.
Morning, Matt.
Negative 15 minutes, so I'll try to get through this as quick as I can. As Nancy said, she did provide me the opportunity to serve as the chief spokesperson for the Job and Family Services Labor Relations. Management, along with Gary and the prosecutor's office, started reviewing that contract in mid-November 2016. On December 15th, management and union agreed to the ground rules and protocol for negotiations. The first negotiation session was held January 5th. Both management and union met 7 times to tentatively agree to 18 proposals before coming to a halt on wages, personal days, and vacation. On March 2nd, when it was determined there was no movement on either side, SERB was contacted to request a fact finder. The fact finder was selected on March 15th by Dave Blythe, the AFSCME staff rep, and myself. Margaret Nancy Johnson, the fact finder, heard our case and delivered a favorable decision to both management and the union. Of 66 bargaining unit members eligible to vote, 37 votes were cast of the 66. 28 votes approved the contract and 9 votes rejected the contract. The commissioners also approved the fact finder report, and on June 16th, SERB viewed the negotiations as settled and began to close the case file. New employee orientation took place May 16th. We had 15 Board of Commissioners employees attend. As we've discussed, each of us, cybersecurity was one of the focuses. Paula did a great job presenting that. She was the teacher for the day and provided that education. Amy, Paula, and myself, we continued our commitment to the county's involvement in the community. We served as junior achievement representatives at Meadowlawn Elementary with Mr. Foltz's class to teach those future employees and business leaders information with the curriculum that junior achievement provides. Finally, I just wanted to share that Benefits Administration is in the midst of a dependent eligibility audit. We've talked about this for several years. We're supposed to do this every 3 to 5 years. It hasn't been done in a long time. And we expect 2 to 5% savings. If we can get 1 or 2 people off that plan that shouldn't be, we can save on whatever claims that person is incurring. So reminders will go out July 24th. We have about 35 to 40% participation now, and we hope to get 100% participation when we're all said and done.
We're laughing because I asked Cam where our marriage certificate was, and she thought that was laughable. Then we asked where the kids' birth certificates were, and she thought that was laughable. I think that form you guys sent out, I talked to Nancy about this, is just, I was confused. It didn't really say, go do this or go do that. It was like 5 pages of, and then I went to go online, and I was on the email address or something. I was like, I guess I'm just too stupid to fill this out, so.
It was a little confusing. We've actually had a good time. We've had people supply their own birth certificate, which we don't need their own employee certificate. And then people call and say, you know, I have 3 marriage certificates, which one would you like? And then others the other one we had the other day was something about if somebody's listed as the father on the birth certificate, but they're not really the father, what do we do with that? We're like, we don't even want to touch that, so.
I think you need to quantify, what I would do is I'd send out an email to all the staff and say, you know, here's really what we want. You can do this, and, you know, the marriage certificate's ridiculous, because what does that prove? Your tax return is what you should be using.
Right.
Because that shows as a dependent, you know, who they are, period. And the birth certificates, tell them, I guess you go to the health department to go get it. I mean, how would you know that?
It's only if you're born in Erie County, though.
Yeah, if
If
you're
you're
born
born
in
out of
Erie
state
County,
or something,
you
it's a
have to-
lot
Oh,
more
that's
difficult.
true, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I understand why you're doing it, makes perfect sense to me, but the method you're getting there does not make any sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's certainly been a learning curve, so that when we do it again in 3 to 5 years,
Right.
we'll
Right.
streamline it a bit. Yeah.
Third-party administrator
Our-
devised the plan?
Our broker did, UIS
Yeah.
said that they would do it, and they just, you know, followed the standard form letter and so forth, and I think maybe in a rush to get it out that, you know, it wasn't reviewed
Yeah.
thoroughly, and
Did you understand it?
Not really.
Yeah, it was
I was
all
thinking,
over
oh,
the
I gotta
place.
get online and do this, that, and then talk to HR. Like, no, you just gotta bring the documents in. I'm like,
right, yeah.
okay.
Well, and some of the documents, like a bank account, you could have a joint bank account with your grandmother or your
Right,
spouse. or-
exactly,
or,
yeah.
You know, some of it doesn't really prove what they're asking you.
I mean,
what they're
really,
asking for.
as we talked it through, I think the only thing that you could really use that's readily available is the tax return. I mean, that
That's what
would.
you're currently claiming as dependents.
That you're currently claiming, right?
Yeah, and you're either married or you're not, or, I mean, it's, yeah.
Yeah, you might, by court order, you're only a dependent every other year.
Right.
Right,
So, I mean, there's a lot of,
there's a lot of ifs and, so we're
Well,
slowly working through it.
Yeah, like, I don't know this, but I have kids that are, 2 kids that are on the thing, but I don't think I claim the older one on my tax return because he works. So potentially, you know, he's in school or, you
I
know,
think they're still eligible for the insurance up to.
They are up to
26.
26.
You don't
Yeah.
claim them as a dependent on your taxes, so it's a different.
Right.
so he would have to get the
Standard.
birth certificate for him, right?
We did have one employee that took total exception to responding to the request and just told our broker if they want the documents, they need to do a public records request to the judge and to the Department of Health and get it that way. I called that employee and got it straightened out, but it was, you know, it's like.
I've gotten more than a few people asking, you know, for like, legally, can they make us do all this kind of stuff? And I'm like,
Yeah.
well, it's not really a legal thing, it's a private agreement with an insurance company.
Right, yeah,
If you don't do it, I suppose there's a little bit of risk. Be interesting to see what happens if they actually try to throw somebody off.
Yeah,
That'll be another issue.
there's been
like
no
that.
signs that we'll need to be doing that, but yeah, certainly before we take any action, we will be calling.
I'm gonna guess
everybody.
there's gonna be a couple of rounds of this before,
There will.
Yeah.
and it gets there.
And we're not getting charged.
No, they're not charging us to do this. And it's a big time. I mean, when it first came up through Cost Containment Committee, we checked into it. I mean, sometimes you pay thousands of dollars to have this type of analysis done. So UIS stepped right in and said, no, we will do this for free and we will handle all the logistics and all of that. So we're grateful for that. And we appreciate everybody's, patience and flexibility as we work.
Some cooperation.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
most are quiet. Most
I
are-
think you
most
can
are
handle
fine.
it easy. Just send out an email that says, go to the Erie County Health Department, get your kid's birth certificate if they were born in Erie County.
Right,
Whatever.
Those of you that were born in California, good luck, but,
right, yeah,
Oh, my daughter was born in Toledo.
good luck.
Yeah.
yeah.
Go to Toledo.
And we do
Get a
have
hot dog
calls.
at Tony Paco's.
Employees are calling us, and, we answer their questions really quickly, and, we'll call them down and say, this is all we need. So, yeah, so we're working through it, but that's a good suggestion, Matt.
Thanks.
All right, anything for the good of the round?
Okay, thanks.
Good job, you guys. Very well done. Find some?
Over by almost a half. A few minutes I'm gonna cut it for that format.
Yeah. that was fine.
Yeah, from now on, I think better allow a little more time for that one.
Or,
And OSU extension.
or
They'll bring 6 people.
just being, like all the rest of the people that do it, they just, the door just does it.
Yeah. That might even be a better idea.
So, I mean, not that they're not important.
It's only twice a year, right?
Right.
Probably shouldn't have done it without Matt here.
Any questions?
Yeah, I'd like to start with page 1, and then we'll move slowly through all
I
100
just-
pages.
I just don't want to get the evil eye of Carolyn when she comes back that we ran over.
Not a problem.
No.
She's in charge, and said she's got all day.
First page is the general fund without the sunset sales tax and the additional bed tax for sports force. As we always do, we analyze why we have red numbers. Appears on the surface that we're not having a very good year. And page 2 will hopefully clarify some of those questions, unless you want to talk
Oh,
more
you're
about-
over here.
Which one are you on? This one or the other?
Yes.
This
Oh,
one.
yeah, the tax budget shouldn't have been.
Oh, I was gonna go through this one.
No, that's after.
That's next.
That's
Sorry.
our, page 2.
So I was getting ahead of myself.
We tried a number of the pages to keep you on the page we're talking about.
Well, they both say page 1.
I
though.
understand. Yes.
Maybe you should start with 1A and then 1B next time, and then,
Work in progress. We'll keep working on it. But the second page is where we analyze the general fund and look for exceptions, such as cost allocation, $400,000 plus not being paid. But I'm told by someone in the room it's been processed.
it's been what?
It's been processed. Last year at this time, we had all the cost allocation payments, so it's a $400,000 fluctuation.
Just because I'm gonna ask it when we get to 1B, why doesn't the 12-month data on revenues, for instance, match the tax budget? Remind me again why that is? This one says receipts 39 million, or 26 million on general fund. And this one says 28, 29 million.
What are you looking at?
I'm looking at these two things.
The general fund tax budget number includes the fund balance.
Okay, yeah. For one thing, number one is, this is without the sunset sales tax and without the bed tax information in it. That's,
That includes, I
this
got it
is in
highlighted.
both of them.
All right. I
That's
got
in
it.
both of those.
That's, okay.
But that
And those are
39
pass-through
million
funds.
has the fund balance.
Okay. So this includes sunset sales tax and the
Bed tax.
Right.
tax, but not MRDD or any of that stuff. Just, this is general operating, but includes those two things.
Right, that's in that beginning part of the tax budget. As you go on, that tax budget has got all funds, like DD and
I see
everybody.
that, but not under general operating.
No.
No.
Yeah, so,
Yeah, really, our first assignment this morning was to analyze the general fund, and then we worked through some of the other commissioners' departments.
okay,
Okay.
got it.
We okay with going to page 2?
Yes, sir.
As we were discussing on the revenues, the cost allocation payment is running late, so that throws the comparison off. There was one-time payments received this year that we didn't have a year ago, and that's basically where the general fund and the metals have paid back some advances. So a year ago, that wasn't there.
Little disturbing on the local government funds. To be down that much.
Yeah.
On a percentage basis.
Right.
Hmm.
The best we come up with at this point is about a little over 1% on a apples-to-apples comparison for the general fund revenue 1 year to the next. There are some numbers that are up, but then, yes, there's some other ones that are, local government and the casino revenues aren't helping us.
But investment income is up considerably.
Mm-hmm.
On the,
Okay.
on the expense side, of kind of a strange observation was the fact that this year we only had 12 pay periods in the first 6 months. Normally through June, you would expect 13, but I've looked at it more than once, so that $770,000, that reflects the pay period and then also,
Bonus.
yeah, the one-time payment.
But,
Yep.
no, wait a minute. The bonus was this year, but you're saying there was less pay period in the first?
First half of last year, there were only 12 pay periods through the end of June. This year, there are 13.
Yeah.
I thought he said the opposite. Okay.
Yeah, the.
That would explain why.
Expenses much
expenses
higher
are
this
much
year.
higher over
Yes.
this.
That's
Yeah.
about $770,000 of the
1 million.
one, yeah. Right. Some other items as you go down, like planning is considerably behind what we had given them last year at this time.
Why is that?
It's what they've asked for. It's what they've needed. They pretty much will request a transfer when they need to cover the expenses. So they must be having some good grant flows or.
Remind me again why family court is so much higher?
Well, again, all of the departments are higher because of the payroll issue. I didn't go through each individual.
It's just the volume of employees, that's why
Well,
that
and
adds up
they
to
are a
that much?
department that went through the point factor analysis. So they had a number of people that were adjusted to bring them more to market value.
This includes the juvenile part over there then?
Yes. Yep.
But not the state money that wouldn't be in this?
Not in here, no. Some of the other contributing factors, the transfers that we make to, for instance, Job and Family Services, are running as I mentioned at staff meeting, we went back and we compared how we used to make transfers, and we felt that we had been kind of slow at giving the departments that are expecting our funds. So we're a little bit earlier compared to last year. The overall budget, I mean, we're going to stay within the budget, but
So what you're saying is the transfers is an irrelevant number. The 600,000 is out of the 1.9. The 600,000 really could be subtracted off because that's
Right.
what would have happened anyway.
Yeah.
Another 700 and what'd you say, 40,000
770,
is
yeah,
the week plus the bonus.
right.
So now you're 1.3, so we should be talking about the $600,000 number, not the 1982
Right.
number, right?
Yeah, liability insurance is another close to $400,000
I was
chunk,
looking at
which.
What was that
it's-
about?
It's a timing thing.
We paid it really, really
Yeah.
late, because that's usually due in April.
Yeah.
So now that takes the 700 plus the 600 plus the 400.
Right.
Now you're at 1,000,007 out of the 1,000,009. And then we attribute the balance to the various folks on the extra week.
Yeah. Right. Instead of seeing like a 14% increase in expenses, we're down to about a 3%. Considering all the employees had salary adjustments, including the elected officials who for a number of years didn't get any adjustments. You know, all these things kind of,
Yeah.
it all adds up. Health insurance, you know, we've been typically estimating that to be about 10%, although year-to-date for the general fund, it's only running about 8% higher. So, I mean,
Yeah.
they're,
Yeah, I get it.
okay?
It's just, when you look at it on the surface, I think somebody's gonna ask what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why we do what we do. There's a page there that basically shows the different pieces and parts of the general fund. I mean, there's the far column on the right is the grand total of everything in the general fund. And then we show what the sunset sales tax activities are, along with the bed tax. Then on the far left is basically what used to be the general fund before we made all these changes. Those numbers will coincide without the analysis part, so.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Page 4 is Job and Family Services. I'm sure, you know, Karen talks about the caseloads and the drug issues. Right now, the numbers don't look too bad. We did ask if they wanted to comment on anything. I did not receive any additional comments. Usually I bounce it off Deb Hare and copy Karen, so. Any specific questions on page 4?
Yeah, I got one question. In 15, I guess 16, how much money did the general fund give to child,
In 16? At the
or
end-
children, I'm sorry, I mean to say children's services?
At the year end,
Yeah,
Yeah. for the
it's
whole
like
year.
$1,818,000, I think.
where did I get 2.6 at? You remember this number? I thought it was, is that including the
That's-
state money?
Yeah, that's probably the total boarding costs that you're probably thinking of.
But as far as what we can do in our pocketbook,
We did like 1.8 towards that.
okay,
Page 5. the Meadows, staff meeting the other day, there was talk about their census. I think their numbers are down a little bit, but
A lot.
I mean, they typically have a somewhat of a cycle where they're a little bit slower during the summer months, if you will.
You know,
But I think we're down and below where we were last year at this time. Yeah.
see, I held this out for that reason, is I watch the payroll for years now, and it usually runs 120, and it's been running 136.
Right.
You know, I'm confused.
Say it was more like 110 even.
Oh, yeah, at times it was
Yeah.
down to 110. So the thing we can't see here is, I know we got more labor going out. We can't see contract services. So I think you guys need to check is where is she on contract services to offset this extra $30,000 on payroll?
I think Lori sent me something. I think I forwarded it to you guys.
I don't remember seeing it. If you
Okay.
did.
I mean,
Is it
she
down?
definitely showed that, they're, like, especially, what we're talking about is the agency spending.
Yeah,
It is
right.
It is down.
I mean, it's got to be
Is-
down this much.
Is it down enough to offset the change in the payroll? No,
I don't think so either.
but it is down.
Well, that was the whole idea, wasn't it, Pete? That, you know, they were going to get rid of
Yeah.
the contract services?
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
Add more on the payroll and,
right. I mean, they're just, the turnover there is
well, they're,
unbelievable.
yeah, well, every time.
Always
you have-
has been, but I mean, it just
Yeah, every
seems
time you have
worse.
turnover, that costs you money.
Mhm.
And the amount of money that you have to pay for the, you know, training or
And-
whatever is.
Yeah, but I
it's
mean,
money that you don't really see.
for all these years, I mean, their turnover has never been good out there.
Yeah.
It just seems like it's worse.
Well, and the reason is that you're higher, the STNA, which is the volume of people that you have out there, is also the highest turnover rate, you know.
Actually, according to Lori, that we're only using agency for the open LPN positions, not the SCNAs.
Right, but we used to.
We used to.
So now they're hiring people, the people are leaving, they're having to rehire people. But I still think somebody ought to, you know, dig into,
Mhm.
explain this number.
Yeah.
Because you can see, look how much your expenses are up.
Right.
What have they been averaging? Somewhere around 110, 108, 113?
120.
Somewhere in that range?
120 is what it's, yeah, I've watched it for a year.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about census, I'm talking about payroll.
Bill's talking about.
Payroll's
census, right?
108, or census
Yeah,
is
the
108
census-
right now.
Census has really been down, when I've looked at
Yeah.
the last several months.
It was up a little above that last week. I think it was over 110.
110, yeah, I think so.
It went up a little bit.
I don't count 108 to 110 as a
Yeah,
marked
I know,
improvement,
I
right?
know.
When you have those
think,
kind of numbers, they need to adjust their salary or the.
Which Lori and I had that discussion. She's well aware of that. Trying to press upon her managers about how to use their staffing, which essentially comes down to the RNs, how to use their staffing. And say, okay, I've got a full complement of people, some of these part-timers that are on schedule, tell them to go home. You know,
Yeah,
type of thing.
so the ever-popular solid waste.
Page 6. We've highlighted key numbers on the right-hand side. We'll go through some comments quickly there. Tonnage is down at this point, so as tonnage goes, so goes the revenue. It is down. Wage and benefits, there is the pay issue. As we've discussed with the general fund, the positions were budgeted with health insurance and such. Of course, obviously, there's going to be some changes in the second half, but the recycling costs under contract services are behind what they were a year ago.
Looks like the NASA dirt
Yes,
went from 24,567 down to 26.
yeah, quite a bit.
Okay.
Yeah, for both solid waste and the landfill, the categories, but yeah, that's a biggie.
Okay,
Anything else on that?
no,
What we're doing with both the sewer and the water funds is we're kind of focusing on there's, the sewer fund has developed, of course, the Bayview sewers, and they're starting to see some activity there. It's not a big part of the overall, but we're going to show you and spend most of our time on the sewer fund without Bayview, much like we're going to look at the water fund without, water B. But in the sewer, last year we had a lot of delinquent collections. They're not as high as they were a year ago. There's extra payroll costs, overtime, and some severance pay. The change in the billing process has moved it from supply expenses into contractual services.
what's government agencies?
That's where we're paying back Sandusky, I guess, for, yeah, per the agreement, as opposed to just the treatment costs by themselves.
What's the
Separate
chan-
line item for the treatment costs.
Yeah, what's the chances of making these a little smaller?
This is too big for you? Well,
Just try and fit it on one page.
yeah,
Thank you, we don't need to waste paper.
if there's,
Where's your overtime? You got production wages regular,
it's all under regular.
but why does it say production wages regular? Why don't you have production wages regular and production wages overtime?
The auditor's office payroll line item that hits the budget is just one. You can go into the pay codes and determine how much was regular pay, sick leave, vacation, personal, whatever, but it's not in the budget system. It's
Why
all
don't we
lumped
want to
together.
know that?
I was used to seeing a line item for like overtime in that, in other systems, but that's the way it's set up right now.
What do you think, Pete? Maybe we don't want to know?
Well, I think it affects fewer departments than others. In other words, there's just limited operations that have overtime.
This one,
This one.
and water.
But if you look at a lot of the other elected officials, that's not a factor of their operations. So that may be the reason why. It all depends on the software system.
I know, I would want to know if it was mine, just to track what we spend.
Sure.
Because you'd want to make a decision, do you want to hire another person or continue to pay the overtime?
Right.
I know water and sewer is a little different because of the call.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not big enough to have people 24/7, so.
What was the cost allocation?
Actually, I think like out at the nursing home, I bet that's a pretty darn big number.
I bet it is
Their
too.
overtime number.
What's that cost allocation that you had?
As I go through there every 2
Maximus.
weeks,
What a tax?
and there are
Maximus,
some people, every single pay period
Indirect
have
cost
got
study.
significant
Maximus.
overtime hours.
Maximus?
No, I mean significant.
So why don't we look at those three operations as a sidebar? Nursing home, sewer and water. Let's see, because remember, we've made some personnel changes
Mhm.
that were supposed to be paid for with less overtime, so we ought to be able to have a bar where we were and where we are,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, like in DOS, I mean, it's gonna take a year or so to ferret it out.
Yeah, I know. But if we don't set the bar today, how are we gonna know?
True.
It's like we were running a landfill and we didn't know how much diesel we're burning.
Mhm.
Well, diesel's a variable, so don't you wanna know that? We track it now, right, fuel?
I think so.
Yeah, but we didn't used to, so.
The only other thing worth noting with the sewer fund is there was a couple of projects from last year, didn't get paid last year, but they were encumbered. The cash came out of 17's numbers, over $500,000 there. And then just, yeah, as we go on, you'll see Bayview and you'll see an overall combined report just because the auditor's office has one sewer fund, but we track it by departments. Any other questions on sevens?
What did Max?
So overall on sewer, we're doing a little bit better than last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did
Sewer's
Max
really not doing too bad.
On that cost allocation in 2016 that we wouldn't do in 2017? Or is that,
It's just timing. Bill hasn't been paid yet.
okay, so in
So-
other words, they're gonna do the same thing in 2017, we just haven't paid that bill?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, if we put that in here, then these numbers don't look as good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, the other thing, the treatment cost, we get a revised treatment cost, what month from the city?
March or April.
Oh, so you just got it? Right. What did it do from last year's? Up
Yes.
a smidge? Because we had not a lot of rain last year. This year, we got a lot of rain, right? I just heard on the news we're like 7 inches higher or something like that.
Really?
So that means March or April of next year.
Yeah, could be.
Of course, the city has a lot more combined sewers.
That's why. I understand
But in proportion, yeah, the county, I'm sure, has infiltration, but
Not like that, right?
not like the cities.
Yeah.
So
That's what I'm getting at.
could hurt them a lot worse than.
So why is your treatment cost on Bayview only 13 grand? Budget, because it's not operational yet? Or it's just
Right,
now?
we didn't really start flowing water till, what was that, probably March?
Yeah.
That's just the budget, Pat.
Yeah, I understand. I just wondered, did somebody think of this as a pro forma budget?
Mm-hmm.
So we have that, right?
Yeah,
It's,
yeah, for a full year.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm.
and we're good?
Yeah, so far.
Okay.
Not everybody's tied in yet either, so.
Yeah, well, I'm
Take a
I'm trying
while
to make
to-
sure that whatever the business is gonna do, that we're gonna be on the right side of the register. But we are, right? Okay,
Water funds,
yep,
and page 8 is just the water A. I guess with the switching of systems, the processing and billing of the rural water has kind of put our numbers behind a year ago. Of course, I think the actual flows, make sure I read this right, yeah. The billable flows are down, but the actual flows, total flows that we're paying for are a little bit up. You know, if you have a main break, you're not going to bill it, but you got to pay for it. The, there's pay period, extra pay, the severance costs, as well as some overtime. I guess we paid the city of Sandusky one less monthly bill, but the flows are up. Anything else that you're looking at?
when are we getting the thing back on the meter reading? Just jog my memory. We never got a report back.
Dave, that was almost like propaganda. That was one, and I think he's still waiting on one. One of the two revenues.
But we bid it out, right? And we received the
Yep.
bids.
Mhm. Yeah, I think, part of the bids, is they had to meet a requirement that, that they can get to some high-level coverage of our meters, like 98.5% or something like that. And, I think one of the vendors or both of them, I think, came in below that. And so they're working through how to get theirs up to where our minimum standard is. Plus, they've been out looking at different municipalities that have the same systems.
Yeah, but they went there a month ago.
No, just within the last week or
They go to
two.
another one?
Yeah, we went to some more, yeah.
So the red, the brackets means it's already done? When you go back to non-operating revenues? So for instance, settlement, Sandusky water settlement, second half, 227,000. What's that
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah,
It means it's paid for, right?
yep.
So the NASA thing, there's been nothing done,
Right.
right? Except now, we got the pump started for next to nothing, and they're up and running. Do you hear that? And it works.
Mhm,
So now we need a roof and some windows, and we're in business.
mhm.
Not 700,000 in the hole.
As far as the federal government's concerned,
That's what you're
not
worried
sure
about.
where Sandusky's concerned about that.
We can pump water up to Sandusky right now.
Mhm. Don't know how much.
They're gonna have two of them running here before long.
Yeah.
They get the diesel thing running.
Oh.
They got the second one will work too. Okay, so we're all right there, right?
Page 8A is looking at water B. There was some redirection of the revenues, as had been discussed for a while. We are still pushing the water personnel to make sure they're charging their time, not just all to A because all the money's in A, but where they're working. Other than that, I don't know. Anything else that
But they're not writing on their time card,
we keep reminding them that that's what they need to do.
right, but they're not.
We're seeing,
Because there's no way they're spending $29,000 per year.
well, last year was 42, but yeah, that's,
Even that, I mean, that's a half a man.
right.
How many people work there? Total?
In water,
Yeah.
8, I think, Bill?
No, total. Because that girl's got to do a bill for B too.
Right.
You work on B.
Mhm.
There's probably 20-some people, 25 total. Water, sewer, billing. The whole,
Sewer got to do with B district.
well, they're still there. Or no, the sewer guys don't go over. Yeah, you're right. All right, so 8 plus, all right, so 10.
8 plus some admin, yeah, I mean,
10,
yeah,
11.
yeah, something like that.
Got to be more than a half a body works in B. Just fixing the brakes.
we keep sharing the message. Anything else on?
So you put the $1.5 million cash balance back in as a negative.
It's as if we never moved it.
Thank you. Okay,
Page 9's the landfill. We talked earlier about the tonnage is down. so that affects the revenues. Wage and fringes, there are some overtime issues. But overall, I think the operation is you're looking better overall than you did a year ago.
Oh, your debt is off? No, your
No,
debt's not
it's
off.
not off, it's just.
You just
all
didn't
you've
make
had
the
is
payment.
interest payments so far.
When does that fall off? It's coming up. Isn't it, Pete?
We can,
I think there's at least three different bonds out there, if not four. They all fall off at different times.
But there's some coming up. I remember this from years ago.
There is one that I think is gonna be paid up within a couple of years.
This is a pretty good sized one too, as I remember. I think it cuts this in half, maybe.
No, actually, I think the big one was the last, I want to call the newest debt. That's gonna be out there the longest.
You know this, though. You guys used to give us a paper that showed all the expirations on the bonds.
Right.
Remember that paper?
Yeah, you guys did that, I don't know, a year or two ago.
It told us blankety blank, blank, blank. Why don't you send that around again? Just for fun, because we had sewer and water stuff coming off too, so. That's what we're looking for, sewer, water, and landfill.
okay.
I mean, still cash flow wise, it's still looking good.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, I think what I'm looking at, I sort of like the NASA dirt's not in there, because that's not a forever thing. I think
Right.
you need to look, can we run this business without that dirt?
Which this is giving us a pretty good indication we can.
Indication, yeah.
Yeah,
right.
right.
Okay.
Hey, on your landfill, I have a question on the Huron County transfer. Wow, we got a pretty good sized deficit there. From 2016 as far as tonnage goes.
It's not a deficit, it's more.
Well, I should say, yeah,
God, it's more than doubled.
more than doubled. What, I guess I was looking at the NASA again, but yeah, on the Huron County transfer, we're up like, what, 12,000 tons?
You know, it's weird though, is something's goofy there because.
Yeah, that's not right.
It's not because the revenue numbers don't have the same proportion.
Right.
Well, that's, when I was looking at these, you look at it and you've got, yeah,
Yeah, something's wrong on that tonnage.
the total
'cause the
tonnage,
dollars is the same.
primary
Yeah.
generation fees.
I mean, the dollars are up, but not at that proportion.
No.
You know, if this was right, then we should be going from 439 revenue
To
to
a million.
a million, exactly, and a million.
We need to get, we need to
I've
find
been
out where
watching
we're at
that.
on
You give it to us every month, it's not up
I
that
know what
much.
that is, Pete. And let me know where those numbers, those are, 2 or 3 of them are off.
All right, well, it's 11, and we've got 100 more pages to go, so.
We can go 2 pages at a time.
No, I don't want to miss anything. You guys have worked very hard.
We
so-
will give you the highlights.
No, I don't want I want the detail.
Well, you have the
Devil
detail.
is,
That's where the devil is. You trying to
the
slip
detail.
some bias here? Is that what you're
Not at
skimming
all.
over this for?
Not at all. There's obviously the tax budget document, and then there's also a revenue analysis. It shows a couple of years of actual, a year of budget, and what the tax budget is anticipating.
So this is 1C, page 1C. You
I-
want to look at this one, or you want to look at
This one.
Is there a reason that you're avoiding looking at this one?
No, that's what I want to look at, is this, I put 2 pages on side and I double-side it, so I try not to kill as many trees. But yeah, the one document is about 100 pages,
Yeah,
and that's the one that you get to sign?
well, that's the one I want to go through.
Yes.
I've got a bunch of stickies on it already.
Oh, good, good, good. Tell you what, I'll compare my stickies with yours. My first sticky talks about page 4, which is your general fund, kind of, the first 4 pages deal with the general fund.
So that's go to this document, page
Yes,
4.
sir. Yep.
So that would be 4B.
And please don't mark that up, because that's an original that we have to have 3 original copies.
I already wrote on it. I'm sorry. Well, you didn't tell me that.
We'll get a,
I wrote on it in pen.
we'll get a,
Account.
That's why I asked her for
Using a
stickies.
pencil.
we need 3 original signatures at the end of this session, by the way. One of the big things that's affecting the general fund is what's happening in Columbus, and as instructed, we adjusted sales tax by $600,000. Even with
For the
that said.
Medicaid? For the Medicaid.
Correct.
But I
Yeah.
thought that went in half.
No.
That has yet to be determined.
There's some things that happen because of our deadlines to get this done, because like,
A half and then,
Deadline
and then
is,
another 30% off.
yeah. We have to have your approval no later than Saturday, so we kind of run out of time sometimes. More or less, the general fund, we're estimating we will end the year around 8 million, and we're, with tax budget, if things were to be as in the tax budget, we would go down to about 6 million, so we would burn some money.
2 million,
2 million.
Repeat that one more time, I'm sorry.
We're estimating to start 18 with about 8 million, and if the tax budget becomes our 18 budget, we would burn $2 million.
I don't understand. What does that mean?
huh? In other words, we've got a $2
Overspending.
million spending deficit, revenues versus expenses.
On the long sheet, it'd be negative.
Why is that?
It's tax budgets, that's a request from all the departments. It's the wish list.
That's, yeah.
Oh,
There's no requirement to pass a balanced tax budget. You just have to approve a document. The biggest thing we get out of a tax budget is the official certificate of estimated resources from the Budget Commission.
which is always wrong.
It's,
We went through this, I remember, on the final budget for 17. You said, oh, no, that's the tax budget.
Again, you're just, it's guesses upon guesses upon guesses.
It's
I
the
mean, That's
start.
a budget. It's a guess. Everything's a guess.
as
Yeah, that's part of, that's the
Most
whole
of this-
nature of a budget. It's a guess.
most of these numbers are prepared via email, telephone. There's no, very little face-to-face sit-down. Why do you need this number versus that number? It's pretty much as requested.
Is it normally a deficit budget?
When
in
it comes to
years
the
past?
tax budget, yeah, usually.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this
Not
doesn't
unusual.
really, this is inconsequential, really.
Yeah, in my opinion.
I would not lose sleep over it, but
Yeah.
there are some things that we're going to point out just that are going to, they're going to be on our agenda as we move through this year and early 18 that are going to have to be addressed. This is kind of like a heads up.
All right, go ahead.
On page 18, this has been going on for a number of years, the situation with the DRETAC between the prosecutor's office and the treasurer's office. One account is pretty healthy and the other one is not. And the prosecutor's office is right now projecting a 50-some thousand dollar deficit, so. I don't know what the solution's gonna be, but it's been hanging out there for a few years.
How does that, isn't this to do with the land bank?
No.
Yeah,
Well,
part of it
yes
is.
and no.
Well, didn't we take money out of this to help fund the land bank?
That we did, and that was repaid.
It was.
It was. There's just not that much to go after anymore, because they've
Well,
done
that's
such a
it.
good job of collecting on delinquents.
You picked all the low
But we
hanging
haven't,
fruit.
yeah, and the expenditure levels haven't changed.
Correct.
That's causing the problem.
Yep.
Well, the solution is, people that are getting paid out of the DRETAC can't get paid out of the DRETAC.
Mm-hmm.
You knew that was coming.
Right.
Same thing with the treasurer.
No, treasurer's fine.
Yeah.
So there must not be as many people getting paid out of the treasurer.
Right.
Oh, yeah. And there's no way you can shift some money. That's by law, right? That how much you gotta give each one, the 1/4% or whatever.
You know, the expenditure side, maybe the treasurer and prosecutor can work something out on that, possibly. I don't know.
Well, that'd be my solution.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, the two go hand in hand on the collection process, and one can't do it without the other, so if one's got 190,000, the other one's got 53 negative, maybe they could talk.
Right.
Okay, what
Okay.
else?
My next sticky is around page 50. Adult probation, they've had a number of grants for a number of years. Vicki, in submitting her tax budgets for 18, told us that there's some programs that are being eliminated, but she thought there was some that might be on the horizon. And
I thought so.
as she told us, if she got any good news at the last minute, she would let us know. And yesterday, I got an email from her where she's identifying over $500,000 in a new grant program.
Is that the one that we talked about this morning?
Yes, that's the one I brought, I
Okay, good.
advised the board about this morning.
Yeah, so it's kind of like,
Yeah, no.
old sources may go away, but then there's this new source. She was saying she's looking with some of the turnover that she's anticipating, that she may not have as many probation officers as she's had in the past. Try to live within the funding, so.
How many people are funded by the money that, those grants that she has, do we know?
It wouldn't take long to get you that number, but off the top of my head, I don't have a,
See,
6 or 7, something like that.
it's, yeah.
maybe, yeah. I think
6 to 8, something like that.
I think there's a little confusion here on this $500,000 grant, because yeah, something, because the grant, the F5 deal is gonna put more people in the jail locally versus sending them down to the big house.
Mm-hmm.
The money is supposed to go to the jail to pay for the increased population, the $33 a day.
That's what I read in here.
That's what I think. I met with the director of the prison system,
That's what
and
it
that's what
says
we
in here.
talked about.
That's what it says.
Well, this sounds like it's going over the court.
Maybe, maybe not. Well, that's a good question,
Well, you
yeah.
just said that the $500,000 is gonna be supplanted by the loss.
Yeah, it's funny, I mean, the intensive supervision one is going away, and that's like that was the baby that started the whole
Well,
thing.
Yeah,
She said some of those that she thought that were going to be whacked are probably going to come back, but a lot of this, yesterday afternoon, we didn't really have time to recreate the whole tax budget in that department, so.
All right,
all right, so you guys are gonna dig into that a
Oh,
little
yes.
deeper.
yeah, we'll dig into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think, you know, I would caution whoever's digging into this, is that I think that money is for like maybe the 2-year tax budget, I think. And there's no discussion after that. So all of a sudden, you start making it a policy to put the F5s in the local jail, and we get, I think our population, Erie County's population it was like 60 people maybe would have qualified last year at $33 or something like that. But that'd be a ton of folks in our jail.
That $500,000 don't even come close.
Well, it's half,
Yeah.
probably less than half of what it
Oh,
costs us. Now, the reason that I like the idea is that it would treat the people, the drug-addicted people that are in the jail, and if we have our treatment facility, you know, we would be, instead of recycling them through our jail constantly.
Right.
We would maybe get some of them fixed, and then they would go back to being
Yeah.
regular citizens.
Right.
But I'm not sure how this diverted, so to speak, over to the court. If it did, maybe it's another program,
Yeah.
hopefully. All right, what else you got?
Okay, we're looking at page 77. Board of Elections. I know they've been talking about replacing, they what, got some e-poll books or something this year where the grant
Yeah.
made it a pretty good deal to go forward with, and we got some money back. But yeah, they're looking to spend over $1 million in 18. And there is a fund balance, but it's not going to cover. So it's like short 846,000.
Yeah,
It's amazing how this went from 600,000 or 700,000 to 1.1 million.
well, they came in and talked to us, and that didn't include the bells and the whistles, so now, but I think we were very clear. I think the last thing I told Kevin was that if you think we have $1 million sitting around, I think you're sadly mistaken. And he said, don't worry, the state's gonna pick up hopefully a lot of this. So we said, great, good luck with that.
Good luck with that.
Yep.
Hopefully it'll get much clearer, but yeah, right now, what we were given, this is where we're at.
So I see what you mean by the wish list.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And as I pointed out to Pete, when he was offering some reviewing comments, I've not plugged this 845,000 in anywhere else. I'm showing it as a negative. So,
Haven't they started to buy some of the other books?
They bought those e-poll books that will be at the precincts, you know, when you show up, as opposed to, you know, they have that big binder
Right.
of all your names and all your, look at your signatures now. So now it's just gonna be on that, a tablet, if you
But
will.
the state picked up a good chunk of that.
85%, yeah. Yep. Yeah, that's that difference. We used to have 300,000 in there.
yeah.
That difference between that and the 284, 467, that was that 15% that we had to put in.
So, could,
15% beats 100%.
It's more palatable, that's for sure, yeah.
so these, you skip by pages 74, 75, 76. Are these TIF funds, Kalahari tax equivalent, Quarry Lakes tax equivalent? What, is that money available for use, or is that just accumulating, and the only thing it does is either,
It pays the bonds.
no, I understand, but if there's an excess, that's only the auditor's call to distribute it?
No, it's the county commissioner's call to distribute it.
That's not what I was told.
We have a regular visitor who likes to ask about an account on page 76.
Yeah.
Close personal
Mr.
friend of...
Kroger, I assume you're referring to.
Of course.
Yeah, of course.
But, you know, like the Kalahari, we maintain a year's worth of the bonds as a balance in that account.
Special Assessment Bond Retirement Fund, what's that mean?
There's debt on the books where the property owners were invoiced and what they didn't pay for got put on their taxes. And those bonds, I mean, that's sometimes street improvements, sidewalk improvements of the,
Mostly water and sewer,
yeah,
drainage.
drainage, yeah.
So what we talked about yesterday on Cleveland Road, would that be in here as a,
Would.
where is it? What page is it on?
Your special assessment bond retirement?
Oh, that's in there?
That's in there.
And that's
What's that on Cleveland Road? What's that?
300,
Chapel Creek,
What is it?
Chapel Creek.
so that's only 340,000 is all that's owed?
No, that's a fund balance. That's
Oh.
cash we have on hand.
That's been building up over the years.
You know, and actually, it's been getting drawn down over the years. It was up as high as, I want to say 600,000 at one point.
Not everyone pays.
I didn't know that.
I think, I mean, if you took it, you know, this is, your way you're showing this is that, okay, we're gonna bring in what the expected, you know, bond payments are.
Correct.
But if you look at like what actually happened probably last year and the year before that, we were really short on the receipt side.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and there's your gnomes, 219,000. I just asked for, on page 79.
The Gnomes tax equivalency, that's, again, that is just where the property tax for the TIF comes in
Yeah.
and the bond payment comes out. Then there is a construction fund piece of it,
Right.
That's what I think is Fund 45051, isn't it?
45051.
I'm looking at it, it's on page 79.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
What's the Route 250 corridor safety balance? Is that money that we set aside every year, the 170?
That was the 170,000 we were setting aside. We are no longer setting aside that.
But the point is, there's still 487,000 in our checkbook.
Correct,
Yep.
That's what I kept asking.
yes. And that's part of the new agreement we signed with the VCB.
But we decide what to do with this
We
fund.
decide, they can come and ask, but we make the final decision.
Okay. It's an interesting one. What else you got?
I don't have anything else marked on that particular document. There's the other smaller document. I have a few comments. If I haven't exhausted my, welcome.
What is sludge dewatering fund on page 81? I don't know.
Those are actually my numbers. We actually have a note outstanding, a construction note, if you will, outstanding on that.
You're right. So we sold a bond for a project we didn't build.
Sold a note,
Notes.
1-year note. That will either we pay it off or renew it, or.
For how much money?
Ooh, the current one, I think, is $1.5 million.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that neighborhood.
Well, it says beginning balance was 800,000. I don't know what that means.
Oh, that's not the numbers I gave you guys.
We referred that back to
Mr. Jackson?
Mr. Jackson, and that's what he came up with,
Okay.
so.
Well, so do we have $1,840,000 to do the sludge project?
Again, this is a year out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
whatever.
assuming our fund balance at the beginning of the year is $800,000.
Where'd that money come from?
That'll come from renewing the note, but at a lower amount.
Yeah, but where did it come from to begin with, the 800,000? You borrowed $1 million.
I came up with it. I said, that's my estimate of what I think it's gonna cost us to do that project. I think it's high.
Well, I think you're wrong, but go ahead.
I'm hoping I'm wrong.
You are, yeah.
I'm hoping it's a lot lower than that. But
400.
just to be sure.
It's 400.
Oh, that'd be wonderful. I'd take that all day long. If we can get that, that'd be awesome. You just never know, so I'd go a little high.
Okay.
Okay.
In that area of the report, there's several projects that were funded by notes.
Yeah, like the Ruggles Minnewanka one, we took that down to 0 because I'm
Yeah.
thinking at this point, we're just gonna pay off those notes. Those will be done. You know, we may take some of it to bonds, I don't know. But we'll just wait until we get farther along with that project as we've expanded that scope, because we're thinking, you know, we wanna go farther out east than originally planned. But we're waiting on the health department to go through and do their studies
Yeah,
and stuff, so it's gonna take a little while
years,
longer.
yeah.
So that's why I figured we might as well just finish this baby off right now and start anew as that moves forward.
So my last question related to the 3% and the 4% on the tourism promotion fund. We passed that legislation year and a half ago,
Yep,
right?
2015,
Okay.
almost 2 years ago now.
That's what I'm saying. That's,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it was in
15,
September, wasn't
yeah,
it?
uh-huh,
So this September will be 2 years.
yep.
How's come it isn't 2.6 million instead of 1.3 million? If you bring in 1.3 million every 1%, that's been being deposited into a fund. Why isn't it 2.6?
Each 1% is going to each individual fund.
I understand, but your beginning balance is 1,000,003, and your ending balance is 1,000,003. The ending balance should be 2.6, because we didn't spend the
You know, on the
money.
fourth one,
That's what I'm looking at.
The fourth one in 18 is estimated to spend whatever comes in.
Well, you're wrong.
Well, and that's perfectly fine, being wrong. I mean, that's,
Yeah, no, we want to
That's
see the
what-
balance accumulating. And,
yeah, well, if we're gonna get this thing going, and we're looking at putting some money up front, that's gonna be a really skinny number, actually.
whatever, don't you want to know what you could invest up front? So you and I talked about this, it's 2.7 million you have in cash in the 4%.
No.
Well, you do.
I have 1.7 right now, today.
Well, you should have, in September, you should have 2.7.
No, not September.
You
I'll
didn't-
just get another $300,000 collection that month.
Well, that's what I'm asking you. If the revenue is 1.3 per year, and you got it for 2 years, and you haven't spent anything, it should be 2.6.
One thing, you've got a timing difference, Pat, because we put that on start, I think, either the first of the year or October 1st.
I thought it was
Even
October
if we
1st.
did it October 1st, we still really wouldn't see our big main collection until 2016. Because the reporting, for the most part, is a quarter behind.
Okay, but in practicality, we have 2.6. Sometime, maybe it's not October, maybe it's
Yeah.
December,
Right.
but we have 2.6 to spend. We also have, that's what I was asking you on,
Yeah, probably like January. If nothing happened, there was no activity, yeah, we'd have about 2.6 sitting in there.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
And then you also have a difference between the bond payment and the 3%,
Yes,
and that is 500,000?
close to it. That I think we've accumulated.
It says 500.
300, okay. It could be by the end of next year, yeah. Yeah, I think that's fairly accurate.
Good.
Yep.
All right, that's all my questions, sir.
okay. You have a smaller report, a revenue report? Says Erie County 2018 preliminary budget master control sheet. And in this document, there's, I think, 4 or 5 pages, but on the far left side, there's a number. If you can look at those row numbers, like for instance, the first one is the general operating, which shows right now we're estimating the revenue increase in 18 to be less than 1%. A couple other ones that I've highlighted just for discussing points. Number 11, real estate assessment is estimated to be 12% below 17. Came from the auditor's office. Yes, sir.
Question. And I think my observation there on the general fund revenue estimate, it's almost a % increase. But all of that is gonna be because we are now gonna be funneling through part of that 4th% lodging tax into there.
Sure.
And there's your only increase. Other than that, it's probably a decrease.
Yeah.
So you're saying of the 31,131,000, 1,300,000 comes off of that number, according to his numbers.
Well, again, you know, if we were gonna look at, I think what we used was 75% of the 4th%, which is a little over $1 million.
Well, not really, because he's used this number, and he had 1,300,000 on this. How would he do it? He wouldn't know to take 75%.
I think I gave those numbers out.
Yeah,
Those
the
guys.
numbers for the general fund have Mr. Daniels' influence on a lot of them.
1/4% in here on one of these lines?
Yeah.
You say
The 4th%,
4th%.
right, the bond payment on the 4th%, which is probably about a.
Not quite 1.2.
Not quite, yeah.
Yeah.
Should match what's on the expense side, correct?
On page
And
2.
it should, yeah,
Which is up there now.
yeah,
Yeah, it's on
Yeah,
that page
but-
2. Yeah.
yep.
You just said the bond payment, you're talking about the 3rd%. You said the 4th%.
I said the 4th%, because the
Bond payments-
3rd%'s already in there.
But the 3rd% is the bond payment.
Right, but it's in the general fund.
Oh, right, okay.
Now I'm saying we go to this 4th%, that will be additionally in the general fund. That's what I'm saying, that's why you see the revenue estimate go from, 30.8 to 31.1. I mean, it should be like 32 if we add that in there, based on today's numbers
I
in
thought you
17.
said it was in there.
It is, but if you took the 30.8 that we're at today in 17,
Add the million
add the million,
is 31,800.
yeah, 31.8, this is 31.1,
So the difference is 700,000, which is your negative.
which is with our loss in the sales tax. That's what I'm getting at.
Bingo.
That's what I'm getting at.
That's amazing how that all balances, isn't it? Well, why don't you show it that way? You're not allowed to? I mean, this gives an indication that the revenue's up when in fact it's not. At least put a footnote on it that says, here's what's real.
That's why I wanted to point that out.
Yeah, but once you produce this document, it's too late, right? Everybody in the world gets this and goes, oh, got lots of money. Where we need to,
Assuming everybody in the world listens to our YouTube recording and understands that.
yeah, I think there's like one person, right? I think it's Aaron.
Maybe some folks in the media world may listen to it.
Well, isn't there any way to put footnotes on this, or you're not allowed to?
Well, we can.
Yeah, I mean, it's,
I mean, I don't know why,
Well,
that's so important.
Don't we distribute a memo with these tax budgets out to everybody?
I don't remember that.
Maybe if we don't, but we could.
We could.
We can basically
Well-
explain that in there.
And much like you, and also you said the other day, Pete, after we get through the tax budget, then we roll into the forecast. And certainly when we do the forecast, it has a narrative with it that kind of explains
Yeah.
why
that's
we're
true.
so optimistic.
Mm-hmm.
Sarcasm.
Sarcasm.
Yeah. But I think that's important that we,
It might be a
do
good
that,
idea
ma-
just to do that we distribute out, say, this sheet, something to this effect, and kind of explain that, okay, this may look good, but realize, no, we're
I think it's a
taking
good
out,
idea.
Right.
revenues for,
Yeah.
because what the state budget did to us.
Yeah. If you reflect back that first page we gave you today when we were analyzing the general fund, we backed certain things out to get to the
Yeah,
core of the general. with the tax budget, we generally don't do that, and that's more or less you're just saying, yeah, give them some more information, so.
Yeah, I just
I
don't.
want to do that.
I don't think you want to start circulating things that, don't reflect our concerns. Is that fair?
That's fair.
People will look at that and think that you have that extra revenue. They're not gonna, unless you have some kind of sub that tells them what that actually is. They will. You get some, let's just say, fix it up and they go, wow.
So you have more papers?
Just a few more points to, I mentioned on line 11, real estate assessment, the auditor's office is estimating a 12% reduction.
I wonder why that is.
That's their number.
Why is that?
It's, we could pull their papers and see if there's anything that they highlighted, but I don't remember. Yeah. On the second page, line 59 is the sewer operating. Just a note, it's down about 1.8 million. There was some capital items, large ticket items included in 17's budget, which are not in 18's, so we're not expecting that we're going to shut down the sewer fund or anything like that.
Why is the motor vehicle gas tax down so much?
Doing capital, county court capital improvements.
Which,
No, just below that, motor vehicle and gas tax. From 5.7 to 5.3.
Dropped 400 grand.
That could be him saying 17 running his, I think he had a couple of issue 2 projects, or at least one, including that in 17, but not having anything like that in 18. That could do that.
Is that mixed in with his motor vehicle tax?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, it is?
yeah.
there was
I
some
was
money,
thinking it had something to do with lower gas prices, but,
No,
because that would affect it, if you're paying.
Well, and I know there was another thing where, when we did that $15 permissive fee increase, that he was expecting to collect 100% of those dollars, when in fact, I don't know, a third or
yeah, yeah,
20% of those dollars actually had to get distributed back to the townships.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
had to share a little bit.
Yeah.
So between those two things, that may account for that.
Yeah, but I was pointing out line 59 and 64, which basically your sewer and water funds in 17 had some larger issues that were included, capital related, replacing the water meters and some other projects and that. I mean, those together was about $5 million that aren't being estimated at this time. I'm going to turn the page again. Line 84, Bayview Sewer is done, so really there's nothing estimated as a revenue, but there wasn't much in 17, but pretty much that project is, we're hoping is completed this year. We talked earlier about those other projects, sewer from Minnewaga to the basin, the dewatering and the Harris Road water. Those were about $1.5 million in 17. Talked about the Board of Elections. Down at the bottom of that page, starting like with line 107, where the different grants for adult probation are listed. But the composite on the last page, our revenue estimates for 18 are down 8%. I think probably the biggest concern would be in the general fund.
I would agree.
Any more stickies or questions? Nope, good.
Good.
To keep us compliant, we will be delivering a copy to the auditor's office, assuming we get a signature on the last page.
That's not marked up.
It's not all marked up. Yeah, that'd be nice.
So,
I think usually you pass a motion.
what's that?
I think usually the board will at some point pass a motion, except, approving
Do
the,
that now?
Yeah, so you guys make a motion to have the president of the board sign the tax budget for submission to the county auditor.
Mr. Monahan? Mr. Shenigo?
Yes. So do you need 3 copies?
Yes.
So if
Auditor
I,
gets 2 and we get 1.
so why couldn't I keep this for myself?
the one,
Oh, you just did? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
There's 2 of them. Bill, did you mark yours up? Can I steal your?
No, you wouldn't even have to, because what I can
you
do,
have your signature page?
I'll just give you the signature page.
And then I'll have
You'll
Danielle
just-
run the rest of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
fine. Then
that's
you
all you
can
need.
keep that. Or do you want that after the meeting or no?
It can be after the meeting.
Okay.
okay?
Ohio State University, you have 30 seconds.
Go, Tim.
I'll give it to her. Oh, see, we have a choice. You either have pictures of insects or pictures of happy children. What would you rather see?
I'm going to do the children.
All right, there you go. It's all you, Mary Beth.
We don't need very long. We're 2 down today. Dawn and Angie are both under the weather, so you've got half of our team here this morning. Obviously, we're, in terms of 4-H, we're very busy this time of year, getting ready for finishing camps, getting ready for judgings, and of course, the Erie County Fair. We did Erie County 4-H camp on Kelly's Island a few weeks ago. We had 134 campers, so we were almost filled to capacity. I think I was 2 girls shy of filling to capacity, and we have 33 teenage camp counselors.
Got one of those.
Are you one short?
There you go.
So all my 33 camp counselors are required to do basically almost exit interviews with me. So as of right now, I've done 25 of those exit interviews. I've got one coming in at noon, actually. I talk to those kids about what they think they did well as a camp counselor, what they think they need to improve upon, what they learned about themselves. We talk about any issues. They all fill out evaluations for their peers. Those evaluations are shared with them so they can sort of see what their peers thought of their performance and what they need to improve upon, and then I talk to them about any issues that I might have had with their performance over the past 6 months. Angie had Cloverbud Fun Fest at the end of June. She had 70 kids, K through 2. They did a zany zoo theme. Project judging, 4-H project judging starts next week. So we've got our still projects on Tuesday evening, then we've got clothing and our livestock interviews on Thursday, and then we finish up with foods projects the following week. Angie has an increase in her junior fair board youth this year. She's got 41 youth that have been meeting for the past few months on leadership development, and of course they'll help put on the Erie County Fair here in just a few weeks. This spring, I had record numbers in my spring school enrichment programming. We had right around 350 youth that participated in our Chick Quest program. That's where we take incubators into classrooms. And of course, using fertilized eggs, we hatch chicks, occasionally some ducks, in classrooms across Erie County. So I had more schools than ever participate in that program this year. We just had our 4-H Car Teens program last night. Reminder, that's our traffic safety program where we partner with the juvenile court. So 16 and 17-year-olds are sent to us from the court that may have received traffic violations, speeding violations, passing school buses, fender benders, all that kind of stuff. We have state troopers in every program. We do that program 6 times a year. We've had 85 teens participate so far this year. We've got 2 more programs to go, and in 2016 we had a total of 131 youth. I actually got a call from a parent Tuesday, And typically, I only have court-ordered kids that attend. And she said, my daughter was involved in a crash, and we haven't been to court yet, but I want her to go to car teens. How do I, can I send her? I said, sure. Told her when the program was, so her daughter came last night. So maybe that will look good in front of the magistrate when she does go to court. But occasionally I do get calls from parents that just because of, it's peers teaching peers, so I have teens that teach the majority of the program that just want their child to go. And also this will be the 6th year of the Animal and Me program. Angie pairs up one of our 4-H members with an individual with special needs. They can be a 4-H member, or maybe they're not a 4-H member. They learn about an animal and then have a show Saturday morning of the fair, and that's been wildly successful. And a lot of other counties have picked up that same idea and run with it, and Angie's also shared that not only across the state, but across the nation, too. So I'm going to turn it over to Tim, unless you guys have questions. Maybe we'll see you at the Erie County Fair.
Okay.
Now pictures of insects.
Pictures of insects and diseases and rotten fruit. So start off with that. I'll make this, really quick. I think the 4-H has all the nice pictures and all that stuff, but I always have the insects and pests. So just a summary of what's going on and what we've been working with, not just out of our office, but in the region as well. We are doing the Integrated Pest Management Orchard Pest Trapping Program again. As always, we've been doing this for years, and this year we've moved everybody over to a training program. So we're, instead of hiring scouts and having the scouts scout for the orchards, we're training the orchard growers to do that themselves now. So as is typical, some are doing a pretty good job of it, some are not doing as great a job, but they are getting the training, and that gives them more up-to-date numbers. Watching invasive pests, if you remember from the last time I gave a report, the nice spotted insect in the center, the spotted lanternfly, that was on my last report as well. And the reason is because every time I get in front of a group, and I talk to literally thousands of people a year sometimes, if you count everybody, I try to evangelize what's happening with invasive pests. One of the ones I was concentrating on the last couple of years has been the spotted lanternfly, which is in Pennsylvania, orchards around Philadelphia. We're watching for it over here. One of the farmers that was at one of our pesticide applicator trainings called me up. He says, hey, I think I saw that over in the fence row down at my place. So went down there, didn't see any, but just we are monitoring that, myself, ODA, and our entomologist from OSU. We're just keeping an eye on that situation as well to see if this thing has found its way into Ohio. So my way of saying that, just getting in front of people and telling them that we've got to look out for invasive pests, it's actually, they're not sitting there bored to death. They're actually listening, and they're going out and they're looking for some of these things as well. Spotted winged Drosophila, same old, same old. Growers that aren't spraying, I've got growers that have missed sprays. With the excessive rains, they aren't spraying. They are losing substantial portions of their bramble crop this year if they're not spraying for the Drosophila as well. We're trapping for brown marmorated stink bug again. You may have seen Palmer amaranth in the news as far as agricultural production. It is an invasive weed that's coming up from the southern states, from the Carolinas, from Alabama, from Mississippi. This one has a tendency to grow 6-7 feet tall. It's an amaranth, just like red root pigweed. It'll take over whole sections of fields. So we're watching for that. It is actually in our area. I think they have a potential find out over in Sandusky and one down around Findlay, but nothing in Erie County so far, but we're keeping our eyes open for that. I gave you a separate sheet that says Asian longhorn beetle. I told you I like to evangelize these things. Down in the Cincinnati area, they do have Asian longhorn beetle. It's a quarantine pest. They've been just, if you all remember years ago when emerald ash borer came from Michigan through us, what it did to the ash trees. Asian longhorn beetle doesn't eat ash trees, it eats everything else. And so that one is down in the Cincinnati area right now. It's been confined, it's been quarantined, they're watching for it. We are inspecting on a regular basis up here, and I'm trying to get every nursery, landscape, and homeowner and master gardener that I work with to keep their eyes open for this thing. If this thing gets out of the quarantine area, it could be a nasty mess. So when you see these things in the newspaper, you know, we're aware of it. We're trying to get its mug shot out to as many people as possible, and people are watching for us. So it's a good sign when people call us up and say, hey, I think I got something. Can you come out and look for that?
So,
yeah.
because I'm I don't understand
And I'm
this.
going too fast, I'm sorry.
No, you're
Go
doing
ahead.
great. How do you quarantine the beetle and keep them down in Cincinnati?
Well, I used to work for Ohio Department of Agriculture, and I worked on the regulatory end of this. And as they did when emerald ash borer started up in Michigan area, what they did is they selected infested trees in a core where they knew it was infested, and they clear cut that area from those infested trees. And then they took, for a quarter mile out from that epicenter, they took all of the other potential host trees for that insect, and they clear cut those. So basically, it was a lot of cutting ash trees out. So that's how they did with this. What they're doing with the Asian longhorn beetle, they're doing a very similar thing. So they found a small population, they clear cut the infested trees in that area, and then they inspected, and they basically made that, again, that quarter mile out, and they started to cut and monitor infested trees within that area.
But you still got to kill the ash borer, because in the end, you just fly to somewhere else.
Right, well, see, with the ash borer, the problem they ran into that, they didn't think it would move as fast as it did. So the ash borer was moving very quickly by, on trucks with wood, with stock like that, and the ash borer can actually fly very well. The Asian longhorn beetle is not a big, the large beetles don't fly well, so they're not going to fly a quarter mile, a half mile, a mile a day.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's sort of confined to an area. It's a little bit easier to control. The problem with this thing, if you give me another 90 seconds.
Absolutely.
The problem with this thing, they found it first, it was 15, 16 years ago in a suburb of Chicago. And they did the same thing. They quarantined it, they clear cut it, and they said, yay, we defeated it, it's gone. Well, then they found it in Brooklyn, New York. And then they did the same thing over there, and they clear cut it, they quarantined it, they said, yay, we got it, it's gone. And then it showed up in Connecticut. And this has been popping up here and there for the past 15, 20 years. The Claremont County find down in Cincinnati 3 years ago is only the sort of latest iteration of this pest popping back up again. Problem with it is it starts in the top of the trees. It's not a big flyer. It's really, I mean, it is a big, gorgeous looking beetle, but it's hard to see even when it's sitting on the trunk of a tree. Usually when they find a population, it's been there 5 to 7 years before it's even discovered.
Jeez.
So that's why we run into these problems. So the one they found in Claremont County 3 years ago was probably there since 2009 or so.
Sounds like it's moving around because, again, somebody's cutting wood and they're moving it somewhere else and it's in there.
Do you know where the original came from? They found out the one that popped up in Chicago was a gentleman that was working in a factory, and he was bringing home pallet lumber, because pallet lumber coming from Asia, coming from China, is exotic woods to us.
Oh, yeah.
So he's bringing pallet lumber back, storing it in his backyard, planting it down and using the mahoganies and the teaks that he would discover in some of these pallets. And that's how the Asian longhorn beetle came in. It was in a barked piece of pallet lumber this guy had in his backyard. So that's
Well, there
where
must have
that
been
came
more than one.
from. It just moved. So
They had to have two.
yeah, well, that is true. They had to have at least two. So they had to at least have a
So
congenial
if he'd have
pair.
just stepped on them, we wouldn't have this problem.
Have to step on one, as you pointed out.
Yeah,
You
you
only
don't have
step
to-
on one of them. So, anyway, so I mean, there's a lot of things that go into production of food and stuff like that, and that's what we try to keep track of. It's not as, I don't have the pictures of the kids, but I got pictures of diseases. Another real last thing I'll mention is the orchards that I work with. A lot of the small, fruit growers are starting to put in larger plantings of brambles out there. Blackberries, raspberries have always been big fruits. Now they're going into black raspberries, and a few more growers are putting in significant plantings of blackberries. And then what they're finding, of course, is with a newer crop and more people growing it, they're finding diseases that they didn't have to worry about before. And one of those is the top picture, that's just orange rust that we see on blackberry plantings. So trying to work with the orchardists and basically giving the heads up on what they need to do and how they need to control some of the problems that they're going to have in production. So
Did you say there was a problem with blue spruces?
yeah, at the very end, I've been getting a lot of blue spruce calls. And by a lot, I mean probably every other week, 1 or 2 calls, either from homeowners and also commercial landscapers as well, that are having decline of blue spruces, not just in our county, but all over the northern part of the state. Some of it is related to water issues. Blue spruce can't handle heavy soils. I mean, let's face it, they're not native to Ohio. We plant them in some of our heavier, siltier soils. Literally, some people have watered them to death, planting them in a tight soil and keep on watering them. until that planting hole literally fills up. But one of the other interesting things we ran into just a couple months ago is starting to see people killing their blue spruces with glyphosate herbicides. They want it nice and clean underneath. They spray glyphosate herbicide to control the grasses, but that glyphosate is hitting the surface roots of those blue spruces, and it's actually killing the blue spruces as well. So
Glyphosate is Roundup?
yes, products such as Roundup. So we can say it that way. So
How
but
about
a lot of blue spruce problems. Bagworm is another one that's bigger in our area than it ever used to be, and that's taken down a lot of blue spruces as well.
How about preen? Does that do the same thing?
No, preen is Treflan, and it's a pre-emergent herbicide. But if you actually read the Roundup label, right underneath where it says Roundup,
Yeah.
glyphosate, or there's what's Big Max is another one, or Pronto. There's some other herbicides out there that contain glyphosate. First thing it says, do not apply to surface roots. And but it's just so nice and easy to make it look nice and clean under your trees, but it's actually being taken up by those roots and getting into the trees and causing problems.
And do you guys get into bats?
Not really. I mean, I'll tell you that, yeah, I get calls about bats. I help people where I can, but most of it's exclusion as far as keeping the bats out of the belfries and the attics and things like that.
Yeah, that's what I know there's a subdivision by me that is just infested with bats.
Yeah. And
I
we,
paid somebody big money a few years ago to exclude them from my house.
yeah.
Well, this lady that I know had a pile of bat
Yeah, droppings.
6 foot high
Mono.
Yeah.
in her attic.
People like that for fertilizer.
50,000.
But my wife's church had bats in their literally bats in their belfry.
That happens a lot to a lot of folks here in Erie County.
Yeah, and it is just exclusion. They only need about 3/8 of an inch of an entryway to get in there. So the best thing is exclusion and provide them another place to nest. So.
Well, I think there's a way that they can push the soffit up. They don't even need there's not a hole is
Yeah,
required.
they just push it up.
There's
There's
a
a
way
little doorway for
they
them.
can squish it up, the plastic, and get themselves in there.
That needs to be secured better.
And
Yeah,
and the interesting thing is they leave every night.
yeah,
They go out and hunt,
yeah.
so that's when you have to,
Well, they leave every winter too.
right.
This is
make them
usually the houses are their summering areas. They leave for more natural overwintering areas. So once they're gone in September, that's when you need to get in there and secure those soffits, put the screens in the vents and things like that. But they vacate their summer premises
Ours
every
would come
winter.
back in May,
Yours come back, and when do they leave?
around September. Ours are
Okay.
gone now.
And so that's what we
I don't
usually
have them anymore.
recommend. The sonic devices, those don't really work. There's nothing.
You can't kill them.
Yeah, there's nothing regulated for poisoning them. Oh, not that you would have ever looked into there. But you can't poison them.
Well, I think you're allowed to sit up in your attic, aren't you, with a BB gun?
I think that's
I
frowned
don't
upon.
know.
Good luck trying to hit one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Just hanging there.
If it's hanging, yeah.
You got a
that's
night
one-
but
scope.
the other
If it's
thing about it, you
flying,
gotta
you can't
remember,
have
they are vectors for rabies. That's one thing my wife won't let me forget. Those are rabies vectors. Even
Big
if you
time.
shoot them, you're talking gloves and hands and secure disposal.
Don't eat them.
Don't eat them, don't lick them.
Don't let your dog.
Don't even
eat.
lick them.
Don't even lick them.
See?
Darn it.
All right.
That's all I got.
Thanks,
Thank you
guys.
for your time.
Thank you.
I'm leaving, I'm froze.
All right.
All
Thank
right.
you, everybody.
So do we have a motion for adjournment?
Resolution.
Oh, we gotta do a resolution.
Haven't done that yet.
Oh, boy.
A resolution?
Yeah.
Got a resolution,
Not very many.
authorizing county auditor to make a supplemental appropriation.
I gotta see them, so pass them down and I'll take a look.
Why don't you go ahead and then I'll,
Okay,
okay.
all right. Okay, so I'll second that,
Mr. Monahan?
Yes.
Mr. Shenigo?
yes. Resolution declaring certain items surplus in order to be sold by internet auction,
Second.
Mr. Shenigo?
yes.
Mr. Monahan?
Yes.
Resolution for then and now,
Yes.
Mr. Shenigo?
yes.
Mr. Monahan?
Resolution entering into agreement with Herc Excavating,
Second.
Mr. Shenigo?
yes.
Mr. Monahan?
Yes.
1 second. This has got you to sign, Gary. Resolution to make a, auditor to make a budget modification.
Mr. Shenigo?
Yes.
Mr. Monahan?
And then resolution, purpose of approving the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Correction 2008 Community Grant.
Mr. Shenigo?
Yes.
Mr. Monahan?
Resolution declaring certain items surplus in order to be sold by internet auction.
Mr. Shenigo?
Yes.
Mr. Monahan?
And motion to award the bid to Aeromark for 2017 pavement marking on various roads.
Mr. Shenigo?
Yes.
Mr. Monahan?
That's it.
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
Mr. Monahan? Mr. Shenigo?
Yes.